Welcome to the Time for Heroes podcast.
Hello, I am Tom Bellamy, and you're listening to the Time for Heroes podcast.
Brilliant. Tom Bellamy, formerly of the Cooper Temple Clause, now in your new project, Losers. We're going to talk about all of this, but what I like to do at the start is go right back to what life was like for a young Tom growing up.
Young Tom growing up was pretty, it was kind of a bit boring in outside of Reading, not much to do. We luckily, me and 5 other friends managed to entertain ourselves through music. We were really inspired by the Reading Festival, of course. So, I met Ben Gautry, the singer of the Cooper Temple Clause, when I was 11, and that set me off on a musical journey. And when we went to go and see Red Hot Chili Peppers at Reading Festival in 1994, that just changed everything for us. And we started a band, I guess, and we just played every day, pretty much, in our little pig farm. And throughout the years, we found new members. So Dan Fisher, the main lyricist, and Kieran Mahon, they popped up around the age of about 13. And then Dids Hammond, we found him aged about 15, and John the drummer, same thing. And it was a good time. There was no distractions back then. We just loved music. That's all we wanted to do. There was nothing else that we wanted to do, and that gave us such focus that we were really so tight by the time that anyone kind of saw us. It was amazing how quickly it came together. So yeah, really enjoyable teenage years actually with the boys.
Mm-hmm. So, obviously touching on the Reading Festival, and you seen Red Hot Chili Peppers. So what sort of musical influences, what sort of bands were you into back then?
Me personally, I was brought up on Led Zeppelin, Jimi Hendrix. They were sort of my dad's things. He was also into sort of some soul. So he had a record by Blood, Sweat and Tears, which I really liked. All sorts. Of course, like stuff like Beatles and the Stones, being British and having parents that were into that as well. But then when Britpop came around and grunge, just got heavily into that. Just absolutely loved Nirvana when that Nevermind record came out. I remember hearing Smells Like Teen Spirit for the first time, just thinking like, what is this? And then I really got into the Britpop thing with Blur and Oasis, everything really. And then meeting the boys from the Coopers, they all had different influences as well. So Dids was really into his hip hop, so he introduced us to that side, and we just had all of it really. The Bristol scene with Massive Attack and Portishead. It was one big pot.
Mm. And I guess having obviously 60s and so much different influences, how did that kind of, taking all those influences, how did you fit that into your Cooper Temple Clause sound?
Well, that was the thing. We all brought our own little piece of the pie. So it was kind of nice that there wasn't just one person leading with one influence. I think that's why it was quite interesting. It was a bit of a double-edged sword because lots of people didn't know where to put us, actually, whether we were a rock band or a indie band or alternative. But it was kind of nice because we all had our say, actually, and it was a democratic process. And maybe it took a little bit longer, but we just took our time and were very patient with each other, and it just seemed to work. Massive difference to working, in the past few years just by myself or like with one other person. And it's really hard in comparison when you're there with 6 people. It just seems so easy because you're just there in the moment and you can make changes really quickly. And we just really benefited, I think, from so many different influences.
Forming in Reading, what was the music scene like? What was the live scene like back then?
It was pretty vibey, actually. Yeah, it was cool. There was a nice healthy competition between the bands. But yeah, we used to go out every Friday and Saturday night into the Three Bs, this pub where a lot of the bands would meet up, and the Purple Turtle, which was also like where people would go after hours, and it was really cool. Like there was an amazing scene. I remember it fondly, and I seem to remember being supported. People were quite supportive. I'm sure there was things behind the scenes that we didn't hear about, but yeah, it was nice to sort of like push that scene forward. Yeah, really fond memories.
Mm-hmm. So early releases, obviously, July 2000, you brought out the Crayon demos. The following year, you brought out series EPs, the Hardware EP, Way Out West, the Warfare EP. Then you re-released both of them, and then Let's Kill Music was released in the September 2001. So how was that then, your early releases, and how much interest were you getting for labels and such at that time?
The early releases were so exciting because we had actually a lot of support from the record label, because they'd seen that we'd grown things um, with fans, from sort of grassroots levels, and they really let us, have some fun with the fans, sending them things regularly through the post, and
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we just built a lovely community really early on, which I guess is sort of almost impossible to do these days. But I guess we managed to do that through the touring early on, and again we had a bit of financial support to do that. So I mean, bands were given money back then, and then you could go around and play because the record label had seen that we could really play. We were really interesting to watch live because we just spent so many years playing together. So they immediately saw that it was kind of a no-brainer to just stick us in a van and send us off around the country. And we were so passionate and up for it. We just picked up fans all over the place. And yeah, I remember when we went over to Japan, even before, I think just as we were about to release our first EP, and there were so many people that were behind us even then. We were amazed at how it had just kind of connected with people. Yeah.
Mm. You, you were, as you say, the sound was completely different for anything else that I'd heard at that time. Obviously, it was a few months later that I seen yous for the first time. Now, I'm not sure if I seen yous on NME, a feature on NME, and it was all the new bands, and the thing that they talked about then was your hair, or your hairstyles back then. And then it was it was soon after that I seen you supporting Embrace at the Barrowlands, and I go, was it like a 7-inch, and it had Way Out West, it had Let's Kill Music, and all that. I've still got it up in the loft somewhere.
Nice.
But that was my first dealings with you, and I fell in love with you that night at the Barrowlands. So I mean, like Embrace, like the sound of Embrace and the sound of Cooper Temple Clause, they don't sound similar in any way. So how was that tour with them?
Yeah, that was like I said, that was the problem with our band, that we never seemed to fit in anywhere. And I remember when we got offered that tour, and we were talking about it, thinking like, oh, are we going to be too heavy for Embrace? Like, are we gonna work with the crowd? Um, but we were just open to anything back then, and so we thought we'd give it a go, and obviously really honored to be on that tour. And the crowd just really got it. They got behind us. I think we were quite surprised. And yeah, the Embrace Boys were so kind and giving. They really looked after us, and we had a great tour. Very, like, yeah, I think we went into it with sort of no expectations and came out just feeling really proud that and honored that we'd been able to play to so many new fans who got it.
Yeah, I mean, you've absolutely smashed it. I think Embrace had a knack of picking good support bands, because I can't mind if it was the year before or the year after I've seen Alfie a Manchester band support them, and again, completely different for yous. Again, completely different for Embrace. A lot more lo-fi, like in the mouldy, badly drawn boy. And again, another band that I followed continually for then. So I embraced a knack of picking them. Obviously, following that, then the following year, start of the year, January, he's released Filmmaker, Been Training Dogs. It went to number 20 in the charts. So for a band of your stature, how was that kind of getting into the top 20 so early?
Yeah, I mean, those days we were just completely blown away by getting into the charts. I mean, we never thought we would be bothering the charts. So uh, to get that high just really showed the power of the fans. Um, yeah, because the music wasn't necessarily uh, crossover music, but it also showed, yeah, the appetite of the people at that time, and bands were there in, in the forefront of the music scene, and people were just really into that style of music. So it was really connecting with an audience. And yeah, I mean, Let's Go Music went in at 41. That was quite a funny story because we sort of were almost celebrating a little bit too early, and the champagne had popped. And then it went in at number 41. But yeah, the follow up Filmmaker. Um, yeah, to go in that high was just incredible. It's just incredible feeling. Yeah.
And then the following month, the album came out, See This Through and Leave. That went to number 27. And in the liner notes, you thanked Westlife and Five. So obviously that was the part of the label back then.
Yeah, I mean the RCA label was, yeah, a bit of a pop label, I think, at that time. The guy that signed us was actually the guy that signed Take That. So I'm not sure what he saw in us. But yeah, that was a little tongue in cheek. Thank
Mu-
you to
yeah.
those bands.
Yeah, it must have been the hairstyles then. It must have been the hairstyles that got you signed.
Maybe. It was something. There was something about six young pretty boys from Reading.
So again, then next release, May, Who Needs Enemies, that got to number 22. Um, and then standalone single Aim came out in September. Yeah, whenever my wife hears me playing your music, she says it's like funeral music. She doesn't get it at all. Which don't take that the wrong way, because I take it as a compliment, because if she liked the music that I like, then I'd be doing something wrong.
There you go. I mean,
So
it was quite divisive, our music. Like, some people loved it, some people hated it. But I think that's the key in life, isn't it? If you're doing something that some people love and some people hate, then keep going, because that's what's really that's what matters, isn't it? No one wants bland music in the middle that doesn't make anyone feel anything.
yeah, so the following year, 2003, I seen you playing at T in the Park, and I can mind that it was one of the best years, like weather wise. It was roasting hot, and I can mind watching you. Your set was amazing, and you were chucking cans of Tennants into the audience. You were chucking your rider into the audience. Now, I was quite a good bit away from the stage, but I can mind just putting my hand up and I caught one, like
Did you really?
dead on in my hand. And
Congratulations.
yeah, and as I say, that year was roasting, right? And I think I kept that can the full weekend. I near enough died of dehydration. I said really just to drink that can. Um, so but he's done Tea in the Park a couple of times. So do you think, obviously, the initial tour we Embrace at the Barrowlands, do you think that helped grow your audience up here, because it was packed out your two Tea in the Park occasions?
Yeah, yeah. Tea in the Park was fantastic. I've got very fond memories of that as well. Yeah, I remember that day. I remember seeing Ben throwing those cans out, just thinking, "Oh my God, like we're going to end up in serious trouble here," because don't think that would be allowed these days. But yeah, definitely like every time we toured and managed to get more people like, following us, and yeah, those Tea in the Park gigs, there was always amazing audiences.
You can still get them. They're still out there on YouTube as well. I watched one just last week, man. It was brilliant. Just take me back to that time.
Yeah.
Um, Obviously, later on that year, you released the second album, "Kick Up the Fires and Let the Flames Break Loose." Now that came out the same time as the Strokes' second album, "Room on Fire." Um, so I'm not sure if was the first album maybe at the same time as the Strokes' first album as well. I don't know if there's that connection there, but how did you feel
I
kind of
was
like when the Strokes came about?
I love the Strokes, absolutely love them. I remember sitting in the bath in the residential studio that we were in Great Linford Manor, listening to Hard to Explain, which was one of their first EPs, and thinking, "Wow, this is pretty cool. This has got something." Um, yeah, I mean they were really impactful when they came out. I saw them. I was lucky enough to see them and the Libertines in Brighton, both of them, in a room of like 100 people. And yeah, it felt really, really vibey when it came out. And yeah, I mean, I think they were also on RCA. Um, but just that first album's incredible. And I actually got to meet Julian Casablancas in Berlin. When was that? Must have been about 10 years ago now or something. And I had to thank him actually because
Hmm.
there was some Enemy awards show or something where a photographer had photographed me thinking it was Julian Casablancas. And so I think it was two or three times in the Sun newspaper around about that time when there were stories about Julian Casablancas, it was talking about him, but it was my photo. And so I was on like, page 5 or 6 of the Sun. And yeah, so I said to him, I was like, "Thanks, mate, because you've sort of made my face famous." I'm quite famous now, and so he was laughing, and he was a really nice guy.
Well, I mean, so that second album as well. I mean that went to number 5 in the chart. So at that point, you were flying. Um, and towards the end of the year, Blind Pilots was released, and then kind of with a couple of years. But obviously, you mentioned the Libertines. So, like, what sort of relationship did you have with the Libertines at that point?
I mean, as a band, we weren't sort of hanging out with them that much, but Dids was. I mean, Dids was a lot more sociable, I guess, in those days, and he was up for just
Hmm.
anything. He was the, sort of the party animal, and yeah, he formed quite a close relationship with Carl, and then obviously
Hmm.
stepped in when Pete had to leave the band for whatever reason. So yeah, it was Dids really, and he wanted to go, and that was cool. And yeah, they were also just a great band for the scene, weren't they? They were really um, doing a lot of good for the music scene.
Mm. And so like when Dad's left, were yous I don't know how to put it. How was he feeling within the band when he decided to join Dirty Pretty Things? Did you get your blessing, or were you annoyed about it? And how did that kind of then change the band dynamic going forward?
I think there were some mixed feelings when he left within the band. I mean, I was really happy for him. I think I'm always happy for people to do whatever makes them happy in life. I'm all about flow and letting things happen because that's the way that for whatever reason things need to happen. So he went, and I was all right with it, and we just had to change things around. We were lucky that there was still 5 of us in the band, which is still more than most bands have. So we were all playing different instruments anyway. So of course it changed the dynamic, and we missed him hugely because he's just such a big character. But to be honest, when he left, things were difficult in our camp anyway at that point, in terms of the studio side. Like, when we began making music, it was all of us in the room together. There was no pressure. We had loads of time. And yeah, at that point, there was just a really a lot of pressure on us to deliver. And we ended up getting separated because we thought that was a way that we would be able to sort of pump out some tunes quicker. But I guess it lost some of the magic in that
Hmm.
we weren't together so much.
I mean, like the third album is still a good album, but did you feel as if kind of at that point that the traction had kind of gone?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. We felt it as a band. We were trying to write music that unfortunately wasn't connecting with the label. And, then they got producers in, which basically took the songs and sort of, they were trying to make them more palatable, I guess. And it just didn't really connect. There are some good songs on that album that I'm really fond of, but music is about connection, and it didn't connect. And that's okay. Yeah.
And then at what point did you decide to call it a day, and who kind of made the call on that? Was that a collective decision? Or was it something that you all kind of knew within yourselves?
Dan made a decision in the end. Dan Fisher, he decided we had this tour, and at the end of the tour, he decided it was going to be the last tour, and he told us. We were gutted, but yeah, that was his decision that was made, and so be it. We had an amazing, amazing 7 years, and I don't regret a thing.
Yeah, and I mean, you all went on and done other things. Obviously, you with your remixing and stuff, and then obviously Losers, which we're going to come on to talk about. But John was doing some work with CSS for a bit, which was another band I was quite into, another kind of different sort of sounding band. Ben and Kieran had their Type 2 era, and Dan was doing Red Kite. So you were all kind of kept busy with other projects. So for yourself, like kind of getting into DJing and remixing, was that a natural step for the stuff you've been doing with the Coopers?
Yeah, absolutely. I was really getting into bands like Soul Wax at the time, who were remixing their own stuff, and I just thought, wow, that's pretty cool actually, because the label wasn't really letting us do what we wanted to do, and I thought actually, well, this is a way of me being able to do what I want to do, and without them having any say about it. So I just started producing, not knowing anything about music production, and Eddie Temple Morris heard some of my remixes, and he got in contact, and that's how Loser started, because we started doing remixes together, and he kept on pushing me and encouraging me, even though I was telling him that I didn't know how to, produce music. Although, yeah, it just happened over time, and yeah, and then because of that, I just became a lot more confident in the producer's chair, and then yeah, I produced Dan's Red Kite album for him, which I really really love. I think it's such an amazing album, and then I did some other work with some other bands, um, and yeah, I'm still making music with Losers now.
Yeah, because I mean, I only discovered Losers maybe a few years back, but like the debut album, Beautiful Losers, man, is sublime. I love it. My favourite track is Flush with Riz Ahmed. Um,
Yeah.
so how did that go then? Kind of working with all these other kind of vocalists and stuff on your specifically on the first album.
Yeah, that was really interesting, because I'd only ever worked with the Coopers. I was only ever working with people that I knew really well. And then Eddy was introducing these other vocalists from elsewhere. And I must admit, like I was bricking it, because, having Brian Molko come down to do a vocal in our pig farm or whatever, I just thought, oh my God, I'm so out of my depth here. What am I doing? Like I should be playing or singing, not the other way around. Like I was suddenly in control, and I remember actually there were some gremlins that came out that day when he came down to the studio, and Eddie had to take him out for a drive while I sort of fixed the technical problems in the studio. And I just thought, oh my God, like, what am I doing? I'm so out of my depth. Um, but then we fixed it, and he did his take. I think he did 2 takes, and that was it, and then walked out. And I remember thinking, like, wow, like, what a professional. And then, yeah, working with Riz, of course, like back then he wasn't so well known. Eddie was so well connected to so many people, and he'd been so kind to so many people that everyone was always up for just helping out and doing stuff for Eddie in return. So we sent Rez that track, and he loved it, and he sent the vocal back, and we just plopped it in, and yeah, just really great tracks. And also the video for that track was, a friend of Eddie's that just loved the track and just wanted to do the video, and it was just really interesting to work with people from different backgrounds actually.
Mm. And to the point where, so that album Beautiful Losers came out in 2010, 2014, and So We Shall Never Part came out, 2016, How to Ruin Other People's Futures, and up to this point, 2021, around about COVID time, an EP, and then you started releasing new music. So obviously kept busy, and now you're in Berlin. How long have you been in Berlin?
I've been here 11 years now. And I absolutely love it. Yeah, we came over just for a few months to look after a residential studio. There was this band IMX that were in this place, and they decided to go to America, and we were basically house sitting for them. So we got to use their studio, which was just absolutely amazing. Just had this huge lounge with a grand piano in it and a trapdoor that came down into this studio, and we were just in heaven. We just couldn't believe it. So we made quite a lot of music back then, actually, and there's still a lot of that hasn't seen the live day. So, yeah, really excited to get some of that music out as well.
So, and what's the plans then for, obviously you released Passenger last month. So what's the plans then going forward for new music coming?
So yeah, we've got so much in the pipeline. I guess I got a bit burnt out around about 2021, and I really struggled with my tinnitus in my ear, and I just thought, enough's enough, and wanted to just have a break. And then at the start of this year, or maybe the end of last year, I just I went through some stuff and just thought, my God, there's so much stuff that we did and put in so much work. And yeah, now there's enough material to just keep drip feeding, a track a month for quite a long time, actually. So it's a really nice place to be because, yeah, like I say, my ear's not in a good way to be making too much new music, but I can be editing stuff and arranging stuff that we created back in the day. And yeah, it means that I can concentrate on connecting with people and, the marketing side, which I was never too keen on, and seeing if, I can build a community again.
So obviously you mentioned the tinnitus, because I can mind hearing you on the Sound Effects podcast with Katie. Can't remember a certain name, and that was a really good podcast because it's something that's not really spoke about. So how does tinnitus affect you, and has it got, obviously that podcast with Katie was maybe, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago. How has it progressed? Has it got better? Can it be reversed, or is it something you need to manage all the time now?
I mean, to begin with, it was absolutely terrifying. It was my worst nightmare. And since then, I've kind of made friends with it. It's like my on button now. It's like when I hear that, I know that I'm alive. And it gets worse when I'm stressed. It gets worse when I listen to loud music. But yeah, it's manageable. I can't see there being any cure anytime soon. I mean, the worst part about it is that I don't see any live music anymore. I've tried a little bit over the past few years, but it's just too dangerous for me now. So that's really sad for me. I've got high hopes for AI sorting something out one day. You never know. And of
Mm.
course, making music, well, it's just my life, my passion. So I've got to keep it quiet, but I can't. This is the problem. You see, I can't not have it loud just because it's more fun, isn't it? So
I guess, like, obviously, like, one of my final questions was going to be, like, the chance of a Cooper Temple Clause reunion anytime, because you see all these bands coming back with, like, 20th anniversary, 30th anniversary tours and whatever, but obviously with how loud it is and how raucous it is live, that probably puts to bed that kind of option, I take it.
well, yeah, I think if there was ever a chance that we got to play again, I would have to strap something seriously thick to my ears to stop any sound getting in. I mean, I'd be up for anything really. I'd love to get that band back on stage again, but there was six of us in that band, and we're in different countries or whatever. I can see how much the fans want something, and I did that post the other day where I was stood next to my parents' house in Winnish with the Coopers front cover or whatever, and I can
Yeah,
see that people want some Coopers things. So maybe if there's something that we can give. I think there's probably a 25th anniversary coming up of that record. I don't know, but to play live, it's very, very slim chance. It is what it is.
yeah. I mean, I very near had a heart attack when I seen that post. So anything that you could give us, man, because this is the thing with that. No matter who I speak to in the podcast, like the passage of time doesn't kind of that it just makes fans more eager for stuff. So,
Yeah,
25 years, man, it doesn't mean that we forgot about you.
that's
But
very sweet.
it's good having it's good having losers there as well, because there's still that connection, and I'm eager to obviously every month there's a release, so I'm eager to see what the next release is, and I'm sure all the other fans are the same. So I just keep doing what you're doing in that aspect, and the last part of the podcast, obviously, I mentioned the start. Good time for heroes. I asked my guests to pick four heroes to come for dinner. Um, Dead or alive, for whatever aspect of life you want. Um, why are they your heroes, and what are you cooking for them as well?
uh, my heroes. I guess it's more interesting to have like dead people, isn't it? Because you just it's God. I don't know why. It just appeals to me. I mean, my heroes when I was growing up, as I said before, Jimi Hendrix, Kurt Cobain. So I think I'd have to have them at the table.
Hmm.
Who else would I like to have there? Who else were my heroes when I was growing up? Um, I mean, my favorite albums would probably. I always say Beck Odelay to people. Actually, I'd love to know what he's like. And I guess we've got to have a female in there, haven't we? So, who would that be? Gotta have just someone completely different. Maybe we can get the Queen in there or something. um, um,
and,
and what would I
and
cook? I would
what would
probably
you cook?
cook. I
Yeah.
mean, I'm a big fan of stone baked pizza here in the garden in Berlin. That's my favorite thing to do, and I'd love to see the Queen eating some pizza because I can imagine that she probably doesn't have that much pizza. And yeah, I think that would be a good mix.
Well, that's brilliant. A brilliant bunch of guests. Um, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you today, Tom. I know we've been messaging back and forth for a few weeks trying to sort it, and we've had to deal with some technical problems today as well. But we've got there, and it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. Um, when is it? When is the next single? Is it a couple of weeks?
The next one's actually going to come out tomorrow. It's called Daring to Begin. So yeah, really excited about this one. And apparently, Chris Hawkins at BBC Six is going to play it as well. So I'm hoping that maybe he'll play it this week. And yeah, I also just wanted to say thank you so much for getting in contact and for helping us to get our voices out there. And I really appreciate it, Martin.
Brilliant. So for the listeners, obviously, Daring to Begin will be out by the time the podcast comes out. So once you've listened to this, make sure you go and listen to Daring to Begin. It'll be on all streaming platforms and such. So congratulations with everything that goes with that, Tom. But absolute pleasure speaking to you.
Thank you so much, and best of luck with the podcast. I'll be looking out for you.
Thanks again for listening to the podcast. If you'd like to get in touch, please contact me on the email timeforheroespod@gmail.com, or you can get me on Instagram at timeforheroespodcast. Thanks very much. We'll be back soon with another episode.